welcome back to the 5 Minute Film Club. And today I'm talking about another film from the 501 Must-See Movies book, and that is Takashi Miike's Audition from 1999. Now, I'm not going to go too heavily into spoilers for this film, because even though this film has such a huge reputation, even if you haven't seen it, this film is best gone into completely cold. So if you haven't seen Audition, I don't even want to talk about the plot to you. Just stop what you're doing now. If you even have the merest interest in horror films, Japanese horror films, this is a film that you have to see, and you have to see it without anybody telling you anything about it. Not a YouTuber, not a blogger, not a film critic. You just need to go and see this film with your eyes wide open, if you can. For everybody that's left, let's have a look at the plot. So Audition is the story of a widower, Aoyama, and his attempt to get back into the dating scene. However, his approach is less than conventional. In fact, at the insistence of one of his friends, he set up a series of fake auditions to kind of look for a new wife for you. Wouldn't that be nice? Deeply problematic, but yeah, nice sentiment, I suppose. Anyway, so him and his film producer friend set up a phony round of auditions for a fake television show. Aside from all the show-offs that turn up at the audition, there is a much quieter woman that arrives, Asami, who works for a record label and who Aoyama is immediately attracted to. Then immediately after the auditions are over, his mate turns to him and goes, "Oh, you know that one that you really liked? Yeah, there's something odd about her." However, Aoyama can't get this woman out of his head, and so he decides to go on a lunch with her. And he tries to kind of call up here the references on her CV, and can't find any connection to her and the record label that she says that she works for. And so he brings this up at the lunch, and it's a little bit of an awkward moment, but he is incredibly attracted to her. All these little red flags just disappear. He becomes besotted with her, and he sets up their first proper date. However, again, his friend is decidedly cool on this relationship and says, "Look, okay, if you like her, just promise me one thing. Don't rush into giving her a call." He talks to his son, and his son's like, "Look, Dad, if you want to go for it, go for it." It's all... None of this to you is probably sounding much like a horror film. Less one that, has life-changing consequences for its audience. And that's because all of this film is doing, up until probably the hour mark, is setting up, making the audience feel grounded for everything just to be smashed to pieces. In this first scene, this is where the audience gets a glimpse at the horror that is in store for us. This film is filled with amazingly knowing shots, foreshadowing exactly what is going to come. And this shot of Asami slumped in her ballerina pose, she is the pure essence of human femininity. And you see her neck bones that are raised, and of course her long, straight, dark hair and pale skin. The smile that she gives when the phone rings gives a nod to what the next part of the story means to her, and an insight what it is going to mean for Aoyama. And then, of course, there's the other thing in the room. Not the elephant in the room, the Hessian sack. And from this point onwards, the world flips. The reality of the film stops being what we thought it was up until this point. I love this in Japanese cinema, Asian cinema, really, where a film presents itself as one thing, and then multiple times, sometimes, through the running time of the film, it'll flip between melodrama, drama, and then comedy, gross-out horror, musicals even sometimes, and Audition has one of the best flips I've ever seen. There are moments in the first part of the film where this film feels like a romantic comedy, but that is nothing to prepare you for the last part of the film. This film sparked a whole wave of kind of extreme horror films. In the early 2000s, you think about the French extreme wave of horror films that came out, and then the American films like Saw, Hostel. Hostel even has a cameo by Takashi Miike in it. But none of those films, for me anyway, have the reality or the setup that Audition has. Those films are all about the Hostel and your Saws. They're all about the end goal. They're all about the torture, the pain that you see happening to a body, and the horror from that is the squeamish nature of watching those things, and to go, I can't think of that, happening to me, but they're so fantastical. This all takes place in somebody's living room, in a film that you didn't know was going to go there. You didn't know that this was going to happen at the end, and that's the best way to leave it. So, sorry if I've talked around the houses about Audition, but please just go and watch it and let me know your thoughts about the film down below. And any other Takashi Miike films that I should watch, please let me know as well. Next time, I'm talking about a very different kind of murder, a more genteel, British kind of murder, but no less horrific, really, when you think about it. There's just a lot more laughs in this one, and that's the Ealing comedy Kind Hearts and Coronets. So I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.